What is up, my veggies? My name is VTR. Welcome back to yet again another movie review. And yes, it is yet again another Scooby-Doo review. I've been doing a lot of these, so I've been trying to watch as many of them as possible so I can watch Scoob, for Pete's sake. Because I want to review every Scooby-Doo movie. And I had the plan to review these movies before, way before Scooby even came out. So I should have already been caught up. But the fact is that I'm only on the 7th or 8th movie or something like that. Okay, so before I get to the review, I'm going to review something. So far, we have reviewed Scooby-Doo Goes Hollywood, Scooby-Doo and the Boo Brothers, Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf, Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo and Ghoul School, Scooby-Doo Arabian Nights, Zombie Island, Witch's Ghost, Alien Invaders, Cyber Chase, and the one I'm about to review, the live-action Scooby-Doo movie. That is only 10 movies out of almost 42? Or something like that. Somewhere in the 40s. That's 10 movies out of all those. What the heck, bruh? But we're here to review Scooby-Doo, the live-action film that has mixed opinions. But from what most critics will agree on, which I consider myself a critic, that this is a bad movie. But I am going to be probably one of the only critics out there to not say that. Because it's not bad. People who get mad at this movie say it doesn't feel like Scooby-Doo. It's not Scooby-Doo. Because it deals with real monsters and things like that. But that's my first complaint I want to point out real quick. The fact that it doesn't deal with real monsters, y'all can't be getting mad over that. People who got mad over that when this came out, it was strictly pointed out in the Scooby-Doo, the world of Scooby-Doo, the paranormal doesn't exist. Bruh! Did you not see the plenty of movies that have came out since then? Before this movie? Seriously? Zombie Island is the one thing I want to point out anyway. That's one complaint I've never understood about this movie. That is one complaint I never understood about this movie. And another complaint is some characters seem to be really out of place and they don't act like they seem very out of character. That is a complaint I do understand a little bit, but at the same time, I'm there's kind of a reason for that, because this movie was initially not planned to be a kids movie. This was planned to be basically a parody of Scooby-Doo, and I guarantee you when they got around to changing it to a kids movie, they still probably used a good bit of attributes from the original script. People was when Scooby punches Fred in the face. They're that's out of character for Scooby. I'm pretty sure we've seen Scooby punch someone, or at least later on down the line we have. But the thing is, it's just people getting really mad about things like that, and I don't get some of the complaints of this movie. Now, fart jokes, you complaining about that? Yeah, that I'll agree with you on. This movie has a whole drawn-out fart sequence, or burp and fart joke scene. The whole fart scene, joke scene, I hate. I'm not gonna lie, I hate that scene with a burning passion. And a lot of people complain Fred and Daphne never really had a relationship, so why is that thrown in at the end there? If you've seen the movies before it does seem like there's kind of a thing there. So I don't see how that's also I get why some people wouldn't like this movie, but not for those reasons. That's legit something that comes to my mind. Why the heck is this your reasoning for not liking this movie? And another thing is, people say Scooby-Doo doesn't look like Scooby. What would you expect Scooby to look like in a live-action format? In my opinion, that looks like Scooby. I don't care what anyone says. That looks like Scooby. And the fact is that this isn't a bad movie. It's not terrible. It's actually rather enjoyable. The CGI, I won't even complain about that much. Maybe on the monsters it doesn't look as good, but with Scooby it doesn't look terrible. The CGI for this movie was nominated for an award back in the day. I think was it an Oscar? No, it wasn't an Oscar. It was some award from back in the day. I don't remember what it was. But it was nominated for it. So you cannot it's not the best by today's standards, but I honestly don't think it looks that bad. Because it's not terrible. It's definitely not terrible. The CGI, some of the characters can be annoying, and one thing I do want to point out is the fact that what they did with Scrappy in this is a little weird. But the fact is, I look back on the fact that this was originally supposed to be a movie for adults, and I feel like they kept a lot of that in there because of that. And I also think it was a reason because a lot of people back in the day hated Scrappy. So I really feel like that's why they did that with Scrappy and making him the villain and all that, and then throw him out on the road and all that. Because a lot of fans of Scooby-Doo did hate Scrappy back in the day. So I completely understand why they did it. Now, is there anything I actually don't like? I said, the fart jokes I didn't like. There are a few scenes for some reason, and this is not me trying to be weird, but there's a lot of cleavage in this movie. Like, that's not even a joke. Apparently, there was so much cleavage in this movie. The movie was originally the movie got an R rating apparently before it had to get cut down, and like CGI, they had to CGI some of it out. Like, this is something I heard of recently. Like what the heck? Like, that was an actual thing. Like, dang, I realized that before, but like I was like didn't realize that it was CGI'd out. I don't know how true that is. I think it is though. That's a little weird, but hey. So another complaint is that this doesn't feel like Scooby-Doo though, because of the fact how in the beginning of the movie the gang does split up. But I think it's supposed to basically follow you. You've been following these characters and everything for so long, and you know them, and they've had a good dynamic for years, but they're drifting apart, so they split up at the beginning of the movie. And you do get a little Easter eggs to the stuff at the beginning of the movie and stuff like that, to the classic stuff. There's some references here and there to the classic series and stuff like that, which I have no problem with. But the thing is, a lot of people just really hate it for some reason. Now, some things are annoying and stuff like that, but like nothing really drives me crazy about this movie. Like definitely here's another thing that people didn't like the whole how they were at each other's throats a lot in the movie. And I do understand that criticism. That one I do understand. And a lot of people have this like, oh well, this should have been the sequel instead of the other one. The other one should have been the first movie, not this one. Monsters Unleashed 2 should have been the first movie. And I understand that complaint as well, and I'll talk more about that when I review Monsters Unleashed 2. Or Monsters Unleashed, or whatever you want to call it. I don't even know if I'm going to title this Scooby-Doo in the year it came out, because there's technically no other movie called Scooby-Doo. But I don't know, we'll see. But this movie I had a lot of fun with this. Like, the actor that plays Shaggy, I even think he went to go on to play him in a bunch of the animated stuff as well. I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think he did. So much in the fact that the guy was upset that he didn't get called in to voice Scoob. The voice Shaggy and Scoob. And it's just the fact that this movie, it's not bad. I don't hate this movie. There's literally callbacks. There's like a little credit or after credit scene that happens like after the movie initially ends, that's literally callbacks to how Shaggy and Scooby loved spicy foods and would eat the heck out of them, but also freak out by how hot they were. That's a direct callback to Zombie Island. It's just the fact that this movie is very entertaining and that there's many enjoyable moments. The movie is shot well. I think a good bit of the music is pretty decent, but there is some soundtrack decisions where I'm like, why? Like, not even joking. Like, there are scenes in this movie where I'm like, why is that your choice? Why is that the decision you go for the audio of this movie? Because it's not good, and it really isn't. You can argue with me up and down all you want about that, but it's not good with some of the song choices. And some of the character decisions and stuff are really dumb at points. But the movie itself, though, is still fun. And I guarantee you a lot of people, this movie, I've heard a few reviews say this, have Velma, look at Velma a different way because of this movie. But the fact is, this movie is something that I really, really enjoyed because it was just fun. I had plenty of fun with this. Am I glad that it wound up becoming what it is and didn't go with the Scooby-Doo adult parody movie that it was originally supposed to be? I'm glad it didn't go that direction. Like, I am legit glad it did not go that direction. Because the fact that Scooby-Doo is a kid's property, and just the fact that this movie just didn't do that justice, I guess you could say. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. Like, that wouldn't have done if they did the way they originally planned to do the movie, it would not have done this movie justice. And I really don't think parents would have been too happy with it either. Because I'm glad what the movie got. This is still a movie that was a huge part of my childhood. And it wasn't my introduction to Scooby-Doo, so don't even think, it's because you grew up with it and blah, 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 blah. I had a good enough knowledge before I ever watched that movie. Yes, I'm pretty sure the movie came out the year I was born. 2001 or 2 or something like that. I was born in 2001. I don't remember the exact year, but it was somewhere in that bracket. So I was very young when I first saw this movie. But even looking back at it and enjoying the stuff, I can see why people hate this movie. I do see why some people hate this movie. But personally, I don't think it's warranted the hate that it gets. I think it's still an enjoyable film, and I think I have a lot of fun with it. Because it's fun, it's funny. It can be really cringe and really terrible at points. It's like some of the jokes just don't hit. Like, there's still that, if you wanted that little bit of adult comedy that was originally going to be this movie originally, there's still sprinkles of that here and there. People wanted them to have Shaggy and Scooby being stoners. There's a joke that alludes to that. But it's obviously not that, though. And there's even freaking a girl in the movie whose name is Mary Jane, and Shaggy says, "That is like my favorite name." And everybody knows why that joke was funny. But the fact is, this is still a kid's property. You've got to remember that. And if you want a gritty Scooby-Doo, there are comics out there with it. So if you want a gritty or more adult Scooby-Doo, there are comics out there. So go read those. Don't try to ruin this for the kids, because even though this movie does have adult jokes in it and stuff like that, because all movies nowadays have those. They're everywhere. The fact is, this movie is for kids, and a lot of people's like, some stuff, yes, I say, did they have these hidden jokes? And the movie was, here's the thing. I don't think the target demographic is specifically children. This is a family film, I think. Like, your parents can get things out of it, you can get things out of it, kids can get things out of it, all that good stuff. Because the movie's not terrible. It's not. I don't get why anyone thinks this movie is terrible. Because I've seen way worse. And I guarantee you, with these Scooby-Doo movies, I'm going to see way worse. because I know apparently some of them get really bad, but this is definitely not one of them. I actually liked this more than Cyber Chase. So the rating I'm going to give it is a 4 out of 5. Come at me. I think it deserves that rating. I don't think it deserves any lower than that. I like this movie. I really do. And it's not bad. I don't think it is. It has a very specific charm to it, a very specific feel, and it feels like Scooby-Doo in my opinion. Yes, it feels different from other Scooby-Doo movies and stuff that we've had in the past, but they were going for a little bit of a different feel. But even though it's different, it still feels like Scooby-Doo. Like, because it's still got that funniness that we all love with this, and all these characters feel like who they are, and they've even been given more personality to them, with stuff like Daphne and Velma and Fred and all them getting a lot more personality. Scooby and Shaggy didn't really need anymore, but everyone getting more personality is great. And I love the banter off some of the characters off of each other. It's fun, it's funny, and I enjoy it. I really, really want to know your guys' thoughts about this movie in the comments. So definitely let me know. I am extremely curious what you guys think of this. And I'm going to go ahead and say this. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys are staying safe out there. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!